In Photoshop, you have a button on your layer box, your layer palette, down here, that if you hover over it, calls Create New Fill or Adjustment Layer. It's a circle that's half black, half white. And if I select that, you're going to see solid color, gradient, pattern, brightness, contrast, etc. These are layers that you create that attach to a single layer. In the past, when we were working with color, we were doing things that mostly applied to the whole document. In this case, you can create, and I'm going to do gradient since the assignment talks about gradient, but it also works with solid color, pattern, and all these other. I'm going to pick gradient, and it's going to ask me for what gradient I want to use. Now, you see right here that it's showing gray to white. If you come down here and look up the colors I've selected, it's starting with those as a base point. So if you select your colors first, I'm going to change these. And then hit that fill layer, select gradient. Oh, it did green to white, but it'll also do green to red right there. It's usually the first one. Okay, so we'll use those, the two colors I've selected over here in my gradient. And then it'll also use that first one to white. And then you've got black and white and some other presets that it has already decided. But that's kind of cool. Okay, and so what that will allow me to do, and I think there's some others here. Yeah, you can create a new one. And it will add it. And so if I decide that I want to, I'm going to close that. Go back, and it added it. Okay, so I can pick new colors. And create a new gradient. And the original one that I added is still there. So I could add this one too if I wanted. Alright, so I'm just going to start with this one and I'm going to say OK. And it has created this gradient fill layer. And what I need to do in order to associate it with an image is I need to attach it or assign it. Let's see what it actually create clipping mask. Right? This is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to locate this layer over the layer I want it to associate with. It needs to be above it. If it's not, it won't work. If it's below it, it doesn't work. It has to be over it. Okay, so I've selected this, right-clicked, and where it says Create Clipping Mask, I'm going to select that. And it's now going to be assigned only to that layer. Okay, so it cropped this and created a fill layer strictly for that photo. Now, if I don't do this and I start moving stuff around, this layer is going to then impact everything below it. I only want it to impact this layer, and I have associated these two. Now, let me move this layer below, and you see it doesn't impact it. You are only, and this is sort of like, you know, changing how we normally, if we look down, this should be impacting this, but it doesn't because that arrow is now saying it's only associated with the layer below it. Right? I just put the layer that I wanted, that gradient fill. I'll do it again. Okay, so I now need to be able to, because you see it's blocking the view of it. I now need to be able to use a blending mode. There we go. To get it to create the look that I'm looking for. Alright, so next one, I'm going to pick layer 2 that I want to work with. I'm going to create that gradient. Alright, so it's created that. Let's just go with that. Say OK. And you can change all these parameters. You have different ways that you can cause the gradient to apply. You can just adjust the angle, you can adjust the scale, you can reverse it. Dither's new, I'm not really sure what that's doing. I don't see any difference. Okay, and then I'm say okay. And then I'm going to right click on it and create a clipping mask. And now it's only going to be associated with the layer below it. And then I change it to whatever I want to change it to. Now, I don't see it. Let's see what it did. Here's the cool news. You can modify it. So you see the layer thumbnail? Double click on that. And, oh, there we go. It was up here. And you can change it. You can make changes to it. All right. So next one, layer 5. I'm going to change my colors down here. I've selected layer 5. I'm not sure which one that is. You probably want to select it from here first. Say I want to work with this one. Okay, layer 15. And I'm going to create my fill layer, gradient. Change it to that. And create clipping mask. And it has clipped it directly to the layer below it, and now it's not impacting any of these other layers. And make an adjustment. Kind of liked that hard light. Just bring down the opacity a little bit so it's not. There we go. Okay, and so by doing this for each individual layer, I can make adjustments to it that now watch what happens. So now I'm going to start moving my layers around, right? So I want to move this layer. And I'm going to be able to move it. Okay, control, so I've got both of them. This is a new thing this has started doing. Where it's, there we go. Okay, so I've selected them both, and now it's allowing me to move this around on the screen with that layer still attached to it. Now, you see how it's changing green? It becomes green over here and red over there. You want to put it in place before you do this, because if you do this with that gradient and move it around, it's going to match the gradient that we have, which applied to the whole screen. So as I move this, just hold down your control key, select both of them, and now it will let me move them around together. So you want to put it in place first before you do that, because it's going to move with the gradient. Now you can also, see if it'll let me link them. Link layers. And now it's going to, no matter what I do, whichever one of these I click on, that linking is going to cause them to move together. Okay, and so you just, each one of these, say each one of these I want to do a gradient layer or a solid color. Let's just do solid color so you can see that one. Solid colors, pick my color. Right click on it and create clipping mask. Okay, and then I'm going to hold down control, layer, link layers. And now they're linked to each other. So if I move one, it should move both. There we go. It's really easy to mess up this stack, and if you get stuff out of order over here, it's a lot harder to fix it. So go ahead and link them as soon as you have put them together. These are colors, the most obvious one. There we go. Okay, and so now I'm going to click off. Yeah, they move together. But you see how this, I've moved this over all of these, and it's not impacting anything except the layer that it has been clipped to. It's created that clipping mask. Okay. You can adjust your blending options. Now, once you do that, so what I did was I hovered over this and I right-clicked and I got my blending options. Now it allows you to adjust your blending mode, and you can also play around with other things. The fill opacity, you can apply it to just one channel. Watch what happens when I uncheck that channel right there. Change the color. Okay. It allows you to create knockouts, really more advanced stuff. Right. So we're going to end this one here.